right, that was pretty cool. And that's what we're going to be making today. But we're going to need to do some coding before we get to that point. Okay, you'll probably be looking at a screen like this one here with all this massively long stuff on it. You need to not worry about that. That is the hard work I put in, so you can just do the easy bit and make it look really cool. Okay, so each one of these has their own, and each of these little things are called a sprite. Okay, these are all called sprites down here where my mouse is. And sprites are like kind of like the characters in a video game. Yeah, you can change them, you can make them seen or unseen and stuff like that. Okay, so where do you need to go? You need to go to the green button down here, the start button 3. So the start button's up here in the big screen, but down here in the sprite menu, you need to click this one. And we've got no code in there, unlike the reset button. So if you're in the red button, you'll see this here. You need to go to the green button. Okay, so this is where we're going to start our code. Now, with a green button that says start, we probably want people to click that to start the lights flashing, okay? So how do we do that? We need to go over to the code here, and we see all these different colored circles. So we're going to go to the yellow one, right? Events, the yellow one here where my mouse is. And we are going to pick when this sprite is clicked, okay? This one right here. So that means when this green one starts, so this is kind of what this square here shows us the game, and we can interact with it. So when I click it, you might be able to see the little flag here flashing on and the little stop one flashing there. That's just saying it's trying to do something, but it can't because there's nothing to do. Whoops, I've moved the stop button. That's okay, we can just move it back. So if that happens when you're doing your code and you accidentally drag something all the way over here, it's okay, you can just drag it back. Just put your finger on it and then drag it back to where it needs to be, okay? Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to work out how to make these lights flash, like in the example, and how to switch these on and off, like in the example. And we can see through this very long bit of code here. Don't worry about anything here. It just helps me explain it to you. Okay, so in here we have when I receive list, I'm going to, if the variable, my variable, which is what we're going to change to make the lights come on and off, if my variable equals 1, so if we put in 1, it would be, oh, that equals 1, then I need to hide it, okay? You don't need to really worry about hide and show. It will do it automatically for you when you put the variable in. All you've got to know is that's how it kind of works, okay? We're going to switch the variable, and then because of the variable, as you can see here, if it was variable 3 here, it's going to show, but if it was variable 2, it's going to hide. So that's light 5, okay? But you don't need to worry about that. All you need to know is that's how it works. Okay, that's kind of the background. And you may have looked at that last week if you got to it. Okay, so what do we need to do? We need to change the variable to something, because at the moment, this, when we click it, doesn't do anything because we need to add code here to tell it to do something. We're just saying when we click it. So we're just clicking it and then it's like, oh, what do I do? There's nothing here. So we need to add something there. So we need to go to the orange. No, we need to go to the dark orange, sorry. Dark orange here that says variables. Okay, we're going to click on variables. And we're going to, like I was saying, remember my variable looks similar, this one. But we're going to go with this one to set my variable to something, all right? You'll probably say 0, but we can change that. Okay, so this one here. We're going to drag that, and you should see it turn light gray underneath, and we're just going to let it go, and it should snap there. So you can see if I set the variable to 12 and then press start, it doesn't do anything. Why isn't it doing anything? Because we're not sending information to this to say to look through all your code here and see the number 12, and in which case this one you need to hide it, okay? We need to send out a broadcast, so then this can be when I receive. Okay, at the moment it's not receiving anything because we're not sending it anything. So to do that, we go to control, the other orange one, and, event, so the yellow one here, and we go to broadcast. Okay, we're going to drag broadcast, and we're going to drop it there. And we're going to click on this little arrow here, and we're going to go to list. Okay, why did we do list? Well, let's look over here. As you can see, when it says, when I receive list, okay, it's receiving the message from the broadcast list. So everything, all these sprites will receive this message and then look through their bank of code and then put something on. Okay, let's see if that works now. So if I press start, this should hopefully show us 12 here. Boom, 8 and 4, 12. Okay, but that's not automated yet. That's not doing anything. That's just doing that. Okay, if it gets stuck like this at some point, you can just press reset and it will reset back to normal. Okay, and these lights will go away. Right, so we need to continue on with this code here. All right, so what do we need to do next? We need to, in fact, turn them back off again, because as you can see, it would do one letter or one number, turn off, next letter, turn off, and then if there's a space, it's all the numbers on at once, or like all the lights and all the switches on at once. Okay, and we can do that by adding a broadcast all to a reset. So reset, like our button, turns everything off. But now if you press it, oh no. Oh, now when you press start, nothing happens again. Why? Because it's going so fast. Remember, computers can read sillily fast, okay? Super duper fast, okay? So we need to slow it down because it's probably doing it. We can't see it. That's how fast it's turning it on and off right now, okay? So we need to put in a delay so us humans can comprehend something's happening. Now to do that, we're just going to break this one off, and we're going to go to control, this orange one, and we're going to put in a wait. All right, we can put a wait there. Okay, and we can make it 1 second. We'll leave it as 1 second. And then we're going to put the broadcast underneath. Okay, and then when we reset, we probably want to wait again. Otherwise, it's just going to go that reset for a split second, and then it's going to be the next number. And you're not even going to notice that it's happened, like before. Okay, so now let's reset it and see what happens now. Perfect. That's what we want. Okay, so this here, if you just grab it from the set my variable here, you can actually just drag it off. This is the only code you need to be able to do this whole thing. You're just going to repeat this over and over and over again. All right, so you're going to use your number to letter decoder. You're going to make a code first with numbers, okay? And then you're going to use that to put into this. You're going to repeat this code. So say your first letter was A. Okay, you're going to put in 1 because 1 equals A on your decoding sheet. Okay, it needs to be a number, not a letter. Now, if you wanted to have multiple words with a space, you saw before that I turned all the lights on and that represented a space. So how are we going to put a space in? I'm going to make this code one more time just so you can watch and really try and get an idea, okay? All right, so this is the code we're going to remake. I'm going to remake it over here, okay? I'll leave it detached, but I'm going to make it by itself. All right, so what are we going to do? We're going to go grab our variable like before, then we go to events, and we're going to go to broadcast, and then we're going to change this, click it, so you can click there, it'll become a drop-down menu. I'm going to do list, okay? And then we're going to go to control again, and remember, computers read stupid fast, so we need to slow it down. Oh, we're going to do a wait for 1 second, and then we're going to go back to events. We're going to go broadcast. We're going to change our broadcast to reset. And then, of course, what do we need to do? Because we're slow readers, unlike a computer, we need to put the 1 second wait. Okay, so now if we put these two together, okay, see I did that? So you can just grab this and drop it here, and grab this and drop it here. And they snap together. Now, what we expect to see is the letter A, or the first light over here coming on, and then a space. Okay, space is represented by the number 0. Okay, so if you're writing a code that has a space in it, you'd write your bank of numbers to show your word, leave a small gap, put a 0 as your space, leave another small gap, and then start your next bank of words, just so you can follow it as well. Okay, so let's see if this works. What are we expecting to see? something that you should think about while you're coding, okay? What are you expecting to see? If you expect to see something and it doesn't happen, then you've done something wrong. It's time to go back and make sure it looks exactly, just like this. Okay, not this, but just this bit, okay, where I'm circling. All right, if it doesn't look like that, you've done something wrong and you need to go back and fix it. Okay, and you'll know when something's gone wrong, okay? When I was making that first code that you saw in the example, I made a mistake and the number 19 just wasn't coming up, and I just didn't understand why the number 19 wasn't coming up. It was so strange. Okay, it's because in my code, I forgot to broadcast the list. So I forgot this. So if that happens to you, watch what happens. Okay, it had that 2-second delay where nothing happened. That's because you forgot to broadcast the list. Okay, there we go, 1 space. Okay, or in our terms, when we decode it, a space, and then your next word. Okay. Now, if you're able to, I don't know if you can on an iPad, but you can actually, when you split this off, so with your finger, you can grab it and drag it. If you can right click it or somehow do this, I don't know how you do it on an iPad, unfortunately, I wish I knew. But if you could do it with that and then press duplicate, you can actually just duplicate these everywhere. Okay, and it makes your process a lot quicker. Okay, I'm just going to delete these now because I don't need them all. I've shown you how to do it. All right, so you need to make as many of these. Okay, I'm going to leave this on the board for you, and your teacher will leave it on your board for you, I'm sure. You need to make as many of these as you need for your code that you've made, okay? And that's going to be after you've made your string of numbers, okay? Remembering when you want a space, what are you putting? A 0, correct. You're putting a 0 in for your space, and that will turn all the lights on, all the switches on, and be clear to the reader that, oh, they want a space, okay? You may have found that issue with the code cracking last time we did it, that you found it a bit hard because all the letters were kind of just smushed together. Okay, so this 0 as a space will help you represent to the code cracker that you give it to, oh, that's a space. I need to leave a space there. Okay, so steps you should do. You should first write down your code in numbers. Don't make it too long because remember, this code is going to be hugely long if you make it super long. Okay, my one that I made, you saw, was very long. You may have not seen, I can't remember if I edited it in or not, but the one I made, I think, was of these things you see on the board here, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 5 bits of block code there. It was probably about 70 blocks long. Okay, so that's going to become very tedious, especially if you make a mistake like I did and I couldn't see 19. Became very hard to work that out. Okay, so write your numbers first. Remember to put zeros in for the space. Second, make this over and over and over again for however many letters you have and how many spaces you have. And then here you put your number in. So if you had the letter C, that's the third letter in the alphabet, you'd put in 3. Or if you had B, it'd be 2. Or if you had Z, it'd be 26. Next, there's 26 letters in the alphabet, so on and so forth. Yeah, use your decoding and the code you write in numbers, and then you're going to give that to someone else to crack, and they're going to try and crack it, and then they're going to tell you what it is. All right, so I'm going to leave this on the board now. Good job. I'm sure you can do it. If you need help, just ask. So repeat this over and over. I'm repeating myself over and over, but it's that simple, okay? Just that stuff again and again and again. All right, off you go.